remember yelling, "Taser, taser, taser," and nothing happened. And then he told me I shot him.
Welcome back to another edition of Enough Said. My name is Dan Barreiro, joined as always by Justin Gaard, and Lori Fisher will get us started on a very serious subject to begin this evening's program.
Yeah, you just heard from Kim Potter. 8 days into her trial, the former Brooklyn Center police officer took the stand. She is charged with first and second degree manslaughter in the shooting death of 20-year-old Dante Wright. She maintains that last April 11th, she meant to tase Wright. Instead, she fired her gun. On the stand, she got very emotional. We just heard from her describing what happened that day. It will be up to a jury next week to decide her fate, Dan.
Well, there's still a testimony to go on, and we still, I think, will have to hear closing arguments. What's interesting to me about the case as it currently stands, or as we currently can talk about it, is I thought that the case was headed in a positive direction before she testified for the defense, for a couple of reasons I'll get to in a minute. And so the usual situation then is to say, well, then you do not want your the defendant to testify. In this case, I don't think there was a choice because they'd been so public within the trial saying she intends to testify and wants to testify. So I think they pretty much had to. Who knows how the jury is going to react to what she has to say and how and how they process it. What's interesting, though, what has changed about this case is it appears the judge is going to, as part of the jury instruction, going to include a part of this thing we didn't think was coming, which was the possibility that even if she did not intend to kill him, that indeed it was a mistake, that she had every legal right to do it on the basis of the circumstances, etc. That is a defense that I'm not even sure the defense expected to unleash.
That's helpful to
until
them.
It ended up sort of evolving as the case went forward.
Yeah, and that would be helpful to her defense, obviously.
Yes.
So the testimony that we just heard today, for people that may have missed it, kind of the gist, what you would expect, right? The defense outlines Kim Potter as thought about law enforcement since 15. Basically been in law enforcement since she was 15 as part of Explorers programs, never had a complaint against her, worked in crisis management, worked in terms of hostage negotiations, right? All of these things. And the prosecution, on the other hand, is saying, how do you make this mistake? You were trained with this taser, you were trained with this gun. Every single year you had to go through these different protocols and all these different things. So I think both sides today on Friday kind of played the cards that we thought they would play, right?
Pretty much, yeah, I think that's true. The difficult part for this is never knowing how a jury is going to respond to any of this stuff. I have felt from the beginning that if there was any guilt, the original charge made more sense than what was added.
Yep.
The distinction is fine, but I think it may end up applying here. Now, is it possible on the basis of this added defense, which apparently the judge is going to allow the jury to consider, that they'll come to the conclusion that she is going to be exonerated completely or found not guilty on all charges? That's part what we don't know.
Well, there's a lot of attorneys, including our guy Joe Friedberg, that has said that publicly.
Yes.
And say, knowing what I know as a defense attorney, now he's a defense attorney, so you have to remember that. He sees it through that prism, but that's certainly how I read the situation, and certainly the case that I think has been built thus far. I'm not on the jury. I don't have a vote in this thing, but we said it last week. There's not a ton you can say about it because it's a tragic accident on all sides. Dante Wright should not have been killed. He should not be dead. That's all part of it too, but I thought it was an accident at the beginning when we first saw the video, and nothing has dissuaded me from that.
One of the things that finally got established here because she was testifying was what she says she and the other officers came to learn about the outstanding warrants against him that went beyond. The first one they thought was just kind of a petty misdemeanor, but there was also other stuff that was a little bit more serious, including, as I recall it, an order for protection against him, which all may enter into the way the jury looks upon, was it reasonable to go forward with to at least attempt to tase him to stop him from leaving the scene.
And we should find out next week. Next up, the NFL is dealing with some obstacles surrounding COVID-19. Several Vikings players are on the reserve list, but other teams are dealing with much bigger outbreaks. The Browns have been hit hard, their coach, and more than a dozen players are out. Many teams have enhanced protocols, but as we know, COVID will find its way. The NFL isn't alone. The NHL has canceled some games as well, Dan.
Yeah, it's kind of coming to a head again, and every sport is being affected more and more to the point where NFL, for example, has started moderating what its protocol is.
Right.
And as I understand it now, originally the policy was you had to have two negatives 24 hours apart to get back in.
If you're vaccinated,
If
right?
you're vaccinated.
Yep.
Now I think they're saying we're going to relax that a little bit, and we're now measuring how contagious you are.
Yeah.
Which means we're not, I'll throw the question to you. Which league's going to have the guts to be the first one to say that if somebody is vaccinated, takes a positive test, but has no symptoms, we're just going to put them out there in the field? That's what we're edging towards, because I think we're coming to grips with is this ain't going away,
right?
And it's here, and we're all going to have to maybe come to a different accommodation unless we want to consider the notion of shutting everything down again, which I don't think we're there.
No, I don't think we are.
I don't think we
Mike
can handle
Florio, Pro Football Talk, earlier this week said exactly what you said.
Yeah.
Said, what are we doing? And now his point's interesting because football, we haven't seen evidence that it's being spread on the field.
On the field, right?
In the meeting rooms, when you're living your life on Mondays and Tuesdays, which I know one Browns player said, hey, guys are going out doing what they want to do Mondays and Tuesdays, and we're paying the price for it. I don't think it's that outlandish.
No.
It would be gutsy, as you say, but if we're going to follow the science, and that's what we've said really from the jump on this whole thing, we haven't seen evidence of transmission on a field, certainly for football.
No.
Hockey might be different. Basketball might be different. If they ever play baseball again with the labor strike and everything that's going on with that, it might be different. But to me, it's not crazy. This thing snuck up on everybody, right? We talked about it with the different variants. The vaccines have kind of worn off. There wasn't as much urgency on the booster
30 seconds.
as there
we
was.
talked about that a little bit last week. There was not.
And so I think that's why, and the NFL also, to try to be fair to everybody, relax testing protocols and things like that as we've gone along. So coming to a head is a nice way to put it, because it did all come together quickly.
I think they need,
Final
what
point,
they're
Dan.
probably right to tighten up would be your contacts away from the building, that sort of thing. They're obviously making it, they're going back to tougher protocols within the building, but also when you leave the building, because I don't know if it's established these spreads. Are they getting it from outside of the building? Is that a lot of what's taking place here? That is still something one could control.
Our guy Case Keenum got bit.
Yeah. They're down to, I think, their fourth or fifth string.
Yeah, ready to, and they don't have their coach, like Lori said, our guy Stefanski. It's crazy.
Well, it could still affect, who knows? The Vikings have a Monday night game by then. There could be a bunch.
Well,
there's a bunch of coordinators and coaches out.
Wild have already lost
the game.
the
You stole my thunder. You stole the lead.
I'm sorry.
The Vikings play the Bears on Monday night. The Vikings have a better record. They're 6-7. Chicago is 4-9. There's just 3 more games left of the season, including another matchup against Chicago. The Bears are dealing with a lot of COVID issues. What does that mean for the Vikings, Dan?
Well, what a flex by Lori, by the way. The Vikings have a better record, 6-7 to 4-9. That's a big flex.
Well, I saw somebody had some fancy stat, some Vikings rube, some Bobo, a cheerleader for the Vikings that, like, explosive plays over, I don't know, it was 20 yards,
I'm sure
30
we're
yards,
great.
like first or second.
That
so
matters.
what's our record?
6-7.
So that's great. It's 6-7. I mean, in fact, you could say, well, that's more of a reason that it's inexplainable that we're in the position we're in.
It's true.
I've said this before. I know all the history. I've been there for some of the games, the nightmarish games where we've lost to inferior Bears teams. This is a game they should win, and they better win. The Bears are a mess right now. They've got a talented kid quarterback who makes a lot of mistakes and who should get flummoxed by, if veteran quarterbacks like Ben Roethlisberger for at least a half, or most three quarters, could get flummoxed by, you know, our double-A gap blitzes and all
Harrison Smith doing whatever he
special stuff
wants.
that Zimmer concocts. They should have this kid's head on a swivel, not figuring out what city he's in. This is a game you have to win. We know what the position is that they're in, and so I don't want to hear about history. I don't want to hear that the excuse can be, well, it always happens there.
Soldier Field.
It shouldn't happen this time. If it does happen this time, then again, pack it up.
Well, we don't want to hear about how the sod is bad, right? The natural grass.
Bad sod,
it's bad, terrible sod, but we've heard about that for 15 years. No, I agree with you.
We have not won on grass this year yet either.
That's what I've heard.
Natural grass.
That's what I've heard.
Just saying.
Never a better time than now. Yeah, I feel like a broken record because if you're a serious team, if you're the team that you think you are, you go in and you handle this no problem. Now, it's the NFL. We've lost to the Lions 2 weeks ago, so stranger things have happened. Almost lost to Pittsburgh as well, even they were up 29-0. I agree with you. They should be able to handle Fields, even though the corner situation is a little scary. They should be able to.
The Bears' corner situation is even worse.
And then let's see what they've unlocked offensively. Again, that explosive play nugget, I like that. I'm going to use that. But Dalvin looked amazing the other day. We know about Justin Jefferson. Thielen, we'll see.
I'll give you, if there's a blizzard or some weird weather condition that tightens things up, maybe. But otherwise, just go in and say, you're a better team.
Go handle Chicago.
They're a mess. They are about to fire their coach. They're about to clean house.
That's true.
And they don't have a chance to make the playoffs either.
Sod's tricky, though. Sod is tricky.
Yeah.
Fearing the truth is not an excuse for not honoring a subpoena of this Congress.
Welcome back to Enough Said. The congressional investigation into the deadly January 6th attacks on the U.S. Capitol are underway. Several key witnesses are refusing to testify. The House voted to hold former President Trump's White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows in contempt. The investigating committee reviewed thousands of text messages and emails given to them by Meadows. The evidence revealed numerous exchanges with members of Congress and others on the day of the attack. Many urged Meadows to convince President Trump to send his supporters home, Dan.
Well, what interests me the most is probably what has interested a lot of people about the latest revelations over the course of the last several days, that many of Donald Trump's biggest media bobos, the biggest of the biggest, Hannity included,
Ingram,
your gal Laura Ingram as well, were privately texting Meadows and others that they were, basically they said, tell Trump to call off his dogs.
Yes.
That's what they're saying privately, because they realize this is a disaster. It's an embarrassment. It's dangerous. It's bad. And that very night, what do they say on TV? Well, you know, they have a right to be frustrated. The election was very questionable. And, you know, you got to understand, a lot of those people there were probably Antifa.
Right.
So they're frauds, but, you know, it sort of reveals the game. The game is I can't rip them publicly because I'm on the same team. So I'm telling Trump this not because he needs to hear it, because it's dangerous what he's doing as president. It's because you're hurting my team.
Hurting all of us,
I'm on the Jets, and you're enabling the Sharks by doing this. It is not surprising to those of us who pay attention to the way the media machinery operates in 2021, but it was very revealing. And now I'm wondering how the people who are apologists for the Hannitys and Ingrams of the world, how they can, with a straight face, refute anything that I am saying here this
Well, I think Hannity had Meadows on recently, too, to talk about his book, and none of that came up, right, in the 8-minute interview or whatever. No, I took the same thing. It's amazing. It's remarkable. It's head-scratching. It makes you laugh if it wasn't so scary that that's how the game is played. How about Don Trump Jr.? Don Trump Jr.
apparently doesn't have a direct pipeline to his dad.
Can't get to his father. Yeah, that's the other part.
Yeah, he's got to go through the channels, including Mark Meadows.
Well, maybe he doesn't think maybe he thinks he can get to him, but he can't convince him. And he says he won't listen to me because I'm just the lackey son.
Did he? And he never listened to him on the TV show either. Come to think of it.
On The Apprentice.
On The Apprentice, he kind of sneered at him too. So I guess that shouldn't be surprising.
I guess he knows, but Dad's not going to listen to me, so I got to work around. The other thing that stood out, and this was really apropos of nothing, but in kind of remembering Mark Meadows, he was the 4th chief of staff for Donald Trump. 4th. As I recall, he only had 4 years.
4th offensive coordinator.
So, yeah, it's basically like from Norv Turner to Scott Turner to John D. Filippo to whoever, to one of the Kubiaks.
Right.
Like, PJ Fleck likes to talk about cultural sustainability. It's just, I don't know if I'd forgotten that there was so much turmoil in the office completely changed hands.
I don't know how you could have.
But Mark Meadows, the 4th guy who had to deal with January 6th.
You're saying instability might lead to greater dysfunction?
I guess. But,
well, there's such a thing as creative tension. Maybe that's what they believe in.
And fresh voices. I'm all for that, changing things up. But it seemed to be 4 in 4 years seems a little extreme.
That's a bunch of frauds.
They're changing things up in Florida in a midnight announcement.
You need to stop this bleep. That was the best text.
I know, that was the best.
From Junior. Go ahead. Sorry.
In a midnight announcement, the Jaguars fired Coach Urban Meyer just less than 1 season. He wasn't even a full season.
Correct.
This just happens to come after he made headlines this fall when he stayed in Ohio after a game and was caught dancing with a woman who was not his wife.
He was there to visit his grandkids.
Air quotes?
He was there to visit his grandkids, Lori. I'm sure they were at the bar.
And also, a former Jags kicker claimed that Meyer kicked him in a practice once. Florida's owner said that Meyer did not earn his respect or trust after all of this, Justin.
I don't even know what to say. You know me, I am a coach defender, probably to a fault. Right? I like coaches. I revere coaches. I want good college coaches to work at the professional level. I never thought for a second Urban Meyer was going to work. First of all, a lot of times college coaches get bad jobs. Jacksonville has not historically been a good job,
that's
right?
True.
They are a lot of times entering into dysfunctional situations, both in the NBA and NFL. However, Urban Meyer took that dysfunctional situation, put it in a blender, took it to his bar, and basically threw it up all over the place. the dictators, the tyrants,
the autocrats.
That's a good way to put it. The ones where the world revolves around you. And make no mistake, with Nick Saban, everything in his orbit revolves around him. Didn't work out in the NFL. Urban Meyer probably even more so, right? At Florida and then at the Ohio State University. I give him credit for convincing a guy to hire him.
This long.
Well, and paying him $5-6 million bucks, whatever it is. He was doing a great job on TV on Fox. We loved him. But I give him credit for basically getting a free $5 or $6 million, because this was never going to work. And these stories about challenging his staff and I'm a winner and you guys are all losers and kicking the kicker and basically saying.
But the kicker admitted it was only like on terms of how hard he kicked him, it was only about a 5.
A 5, yeah.
You know,
well, it wasn't a love tap, but
it
wasn't abusive.
Yeah.
But it's just, this was never going to work.
Here's a quote I saw somebody on Twitter. Occasionally you can find good stuff on Twitter. That the message on Urban Meyer, and it actually makes frauds of all of us, is as long as you win, you can be a jackass.
Yeah, for sure.
The moment you start losing, you will be punished for being the jackass you've always been.
That's
now,
true.
That's not a new message, but it's underlined almost every time this happens, and that's the case, quite frankly. But to your point, there is still the added nuance here of college football. You might have a chance to get away with a lot of the stuff he did as long as you win. But pro football in 2021, you got zero chance.
No.
You got zero chance, and I think even most coaches, even old-fashioned throwback coaches, get what the limits are now. Mike Zimmer ain't going to kick somebody in the leg.
No.
Is he? And he's old school on a lot of things. And so it's just the stupidity.
The intimidation stuff, it's all stupid.
The self-absorption that goes into this of saying, well, I'm bulletproof because I'm Urban Meyer, is so delusional. But I guess not surprising, given that at the college level, he just thought, well, why can't I make it here? They're giving me all this money. I'm getting all this attention. And so I'm me, and I'm bulletproof.
More time for the grandkids now.
Well, that and hanging out at the bar and doing some of those dancing things.
Or learn some better dance moves.
Well, that's possible. I'm not even sure there was any move.
I think he knew what he was doing.
Actually, yeah, you just stand there.
I think
he was just stationary, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, my. Okay.
Lori's sweating.
I know, it always happens. The Gopher men's basketball team beat Michigan last weekend in their first road win there since 2011. Luckily, they beat Texas A&M.
Corpus
thank
Christi.
you. You guys have me all flustered with that dancing. After nearly blowing the lead in the second half.
We weren't going to bring it up.
No.
Yeah, we didn't bring it up.
They play Green Bay next Wednesday. Rookie coach Ben Johnson off to a great start for the season, Justin.
Yeah, they know who they are, this team, which is kind of a bunch of journeyman guys. They've got, in my opinion, they've got two guys that can really play, Jamison Battle, Peyton Willis. And the rest of them are filling their roles. Yeah. And we got to see where this goes. I mean, even me
as early for a contract extension?
As a Ben Johnson fan, and you know that I am.
Yes, you are.
And
you've been consistent.
As a Gopher basketball fan, and understanding why this hire was made, I think I've been pretty consistent on that. We do need to calm down a little bit. Like, it's great. Signs are good. They're playing well.
It's what we do in this town.
I know.
Man. We go from 0 to 100.
It's crazy. I like the identity.
Games, 5 minutes.
And now let's see where it goes from here. What you hope it helps is with recruiting.
Exactly.
Because that's the biggest reason why Ben Johnson was brought in here.
Yes.
Keeping the local kids here, even if people, because you know how I feel about that too. I don't really care where they're from if they can play. Part of the problem is they haven't been able to play very well historically, but if it can help and you can get those local kids that are going elsewhere to maybe take another look at the U and say, I want to be a part of that because of how they play, because I love how they play. Play together, they guard, they rebound, they're tough. Then that's the home run of the season.
You have no explaining to do on this. I have a lot more explaining to do because I was in the group that thought this was going to be disastrous. Not, again, because I was making a statement on what Ben Johnson is capable of doing as a coach, but I didn't even think that the two players you named had a chance to play as well as they've played to this point. I admit I had not seen any of Battle, but I'm going, where are we getting? Was it GW?
Yes.
Where are we getting these guys? And everybody else left, and this is just going to be a mess. So what if he's done nothing else? The winning is a strange bonus. But what he's done regardless that's helpful is he's already established, I think, what they want to be.
Yes.
And to that end, the ultimate success will depend on the recruiting part. That's the key piece. But I have to believe the recruiting part will be helped. If they play as badly as I expected to this point, then I'm not sure, even if you're a great recruiter, you got anybody saying, well, I don't want to take a chance there. I got to see something.
Yep.
You're already seeing more than one might have expected this year, and it's to his credit. And it's to everybody's credit that's involved with this team. but I would caution you on holding off on the first contract extension.
Well,
that's all I ask, because there are people out there, as you know, they're ready to do it.
Well, the other thing is, he's one of us. He's Minnesota. He's never leaving.
That's a good
we
point.
don't have to worry about
So we got that lever.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about him taking the USC job like we do with PJ.
I'm not sure his
every 2
agent's
years.
going to appreciate you saying that.
Wild weather this week. We kept hearing the term unprecedented for the month of December. 2 tornadoes now confirmed in southern Minnesota. The strong storms left a trail of damage, Dan.
I didn't like it. I don't like anything that feels tropical in the middle of. You know me, I'm a Christmas purist.
You're a traditionalist.
I don't love winter, but I
Yeah.
do like winter during December.
Yeah, and that bothers me.
Was it a derecho?
I think it was a derecho.
I just love saying that,
Yeah.
that
Next
term,
up.
and I don't even know what it means. But it ended up being scary some places, not so much in the metro, right? Metro, I think we
Seemed
kind of
fine.
avoided the
Yeah.
worst of it.
South, it was tough.
Yeah.
I said I just don't like it because it ruined my ice rink. We flooded it too
That's
early.
unfortunate.
It's all
so now
about
it's
you.
ruined.
Yeah.
It's all about how it affects
Timberwolves
your family.
guard Anthony Edwards breaks an NBA record. He made 10 of his 14 three-point shot attempts on Wednesday night. It makes him the youngest player in the league history to do something that incredible.
Everything looks better when you make shots, right? Gopher women had this the other night. Sarah Scalia made 9 three-pointers, which is the most any Gopher has ever
Yep.
made at the barn. Everything looks better when you're just filling it up from deep, right?
We're back.
It's
now.
easy.
The head coach, Chris Finch.
Chris Finch.
He now says we've gotten our mojo. Now some term back, like we're trying again. In
Yeah.
effect, if I was translating
Yeah,
it.
you were.
And now it's looking pretty good again.
Yeah.
For the moment.
It's
we'll see
amazing.
how long it lasts.
If you try.
I tell you though, we talked about he's 20 years old.
Next
Anthony
up.
Edwards.
Anthony
I
Edwards
know.
is 20. That's what we cannot forget. And he's got some warts, and he's got to be more consistent. But juice is what he represents.
Already making history.
Anthony Wiggins.
Andrew
that's the kind
Wiggins.
of, excuse me.
Okay, we gotta
Andrew
keep moving.
Wiggins, the kind of juice we were looking
It was
for. we didn't
National
get.
Signing Day on Wednesday. The Gopher football team signed
Best
22
ever.
players to the class of 22.
Best class ever.
Coach
Best.
Fleck said no big surprises.
Wow, and this is National Singing Day. There's the
Hey,
class
I
right
love
there.
it. That's
There's
tremendous.
the quarterback, Jacob
Not-
Knuth. She's in the back right there.
What happened
They got
there?
the offensive lineman there. It's,
Wait, that is not-
that's
let's
gonna
You know
be-
what I
Get
like
off that
about
video.
this?
They'll be doing the anthem at the Guaranteed Rate Bowl.
That
We
is
call that a
not
phony
right
song and
video.
dance because we don't know how
Okay,
good any
we
of
gotta
these
keep
guys are,
moving.
and you know it. We don't know.
Actually, there may have been a recruit in there, and I have no idea.
You know,
I'm
well,
sure.
In post-production, we will
have no
add
Do
idea.
they have
some
any athletes
video.
in there though?
Maybe.
Okay, we
I
You
gotta
don't
don't know.
even have a position for them. They're just.
All right, we got to move.
Oh, sorry.
Fallout over what was supposed to be an
That was
exciting fundraiser for teachers. 10 of them crawled to compete to grab as much money as they could
Yeah.
in South Dakota at a junior hockey league. But afterwards, critics on social media called it demeaning and said showed that teachers aren't funded properly. My husband's a teacher. He said, heck yeah, I would crawl for some cash.
Yet
Dan?
another example of overrated online stupidity.
I tend to
don't
agree.
give a damn. There's so many things worth getting outraged over regarding teachers. We've talked about.
Yes.
I've got my wife was a teacher. You
Yes,
got your wife's a teacher.
absolutely.
I got 2 sisters that teach. We value it, but the idea that this means what does this say about us?
Well, they weren't
Well, everyone
saying.
apologized now.
They
so.
weren't saying.
of course they did. They had no choice but to
and
apologize.
the hockey team's donating money to the
Yeah.
school. There's like
And
15
finally,
grand.
and
Silly.
finally,
They didn't say this is the only funding you're getting, so you better go get it, right?
Just
Because that'd be
correct.
different.
Well, the apology's the mistake.
Okay,
because
we got
then
it.
that's why people think there was something to apologize
I want to see the
for.
singers again.
Can't we?
Where's that choir? Let's hear from them.
researchers at the
Was
University of
PJ?
South
Was he conducting him?
Australia.
PJ.
You guys, okay, there was a study that found out, no duh, that if you check email over the holidays, it just burns you out more and it can hurt your family relationships and all that kind of stuff. Do you put your phones away over the holidays, Dan?
No. What,
Justin, you check
We
email?
have a lot of great tweets to send and
This
emails
is a
to send
study
during.
that this is one of
holidays.
those studies. Go, you know, I didn't think I had a problem with this, but then you're going
Now I
to
have
read
a
the study. And go,
problem.
something must be wrong with me because
Yeah.
I continue to do those sorts of things. Just relax. It's
Well,
okay.
I mean-
Whatever you do, you do.
Personally, yeah, we work
In
a lot during the
moderation.
holidays. Yes.
Try to make it. That's year round, though.
While the
What's that got to do with the holidays?
While the kids are opening presents from Santa,
Yeah.
maybe put your phone on
Well,
silent.
For a
Happy
little bit.
holidays
Yeah,
from an
but by
outside.
Unless it's
8
something important.
But by 8, you
Yeah.
got to get on it.
That's a wrap.
Yeah, you better get on it. Well, I wonder what song they were singing.
Oh, I can't wait to find out.
Go for Rouser?
No doubt.
A Row the Boat song?